Alright, guys, welcome to Hexceeding Hexpectations. So, I made this channel because a lot of people in the Hex community, there's a lot of drama going on, and that's completely understandable. When you find something, a financial product like Hex that basically solves all of your financial and, basically external problems, it's very easy, to start noticing and being aware of all the internal problems that you've been, basically just re reconditioning to yourself, possibly ever since your childhood. So with Hex, thank you to Richard Hart and Hex, we basically have our financial plan and all that for the future. But if you remember, Richard Hart started off giving out free self-help books and self-help knowledge for free. So now that he's created something where our external and financial worries, aren't a burden anymore, really. Now we're able to use all that extra free time in order to hone in and focus on the internal. So I call this the double H Manifesto, and double H stands for Hex Happiness. So, you find Hex and it makes you happy externally, but then you start, like I said, you start seeing all the internal problems that you have within yourself. So, us as a community, we can't get, we have to take full advantage of Hex, and that's not, financially. We have to take advantage of all the free time it's giving us because of, how good of a financial product it is. But not just that, we have to put that time towards what would benefit us the most. And working on yourself, there's nothing more rewarding than doing that, no matter what. So, even the reason why you got into Hex, if you follow the trail of whys, it's because you wanted to be happy. You were chasing happiness at the end of the day. You were chasing becoming rich, but you wanted to become rich so you can become happy. So our drive to do almost anything in life is always to be happy. Like why do you go out, to the club or whatever with your friends? It's to be happy. Why do you like buying a new car? Because it makes you feel happy. So people are literally willing to ruin their lives and get addicted to drugs to the point of killing themselves in the chase for this happiness. So no matter the consequences, our desire for happiness is insane. And people don't realize that almost anything in life, when you keep following and asking the trail of whys, it's always going to stop at happiness, at somebody trying to attain happiness. And it's not true happiness that they're trying to attain. What they're attaining is a temporary relief from pain. And that's not true happiness. True happiness is everlasting and permanent. So, how this problem really starts is we're born happy and whole. We're born being happy by default, and then something happens or something convinces us down the line in our life that our default is unhappiness. And we never question it. we never ask ourselves, why is our default unhappiness? Why is it not happiness? Why isn't it happiness? So, even if you ask yourself what makes you happy, for 99% of people, what makes them happy is something that gives them an escape from reality. So, reality, for most people by default, they assume it's unhappy. So when you escape reality, that's the only time they perceive themselves as being happy. But it's not even true happiness that they're feeling, because all it is they're just basically being removed from a situation. It's like on the bottom line, you see the way we perceive happiness is like it's like a flaming inferno, and we just drop a cup of water, and the flame like dies down just a little for 1 to 2 seconds, but it never stops the fire. The fire keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So people see that 1 to 2 seconds of the flame dying down as happiness, when that's not true happiness. It's even can even come to the point, somebody that says, oh, I'm only happy when I give charity and I'm being grateful for what I have. The thing is, how about when you're not giving to charity, and when you're not when you're not doing your gratitude list? Why are you not happy when you're not doing that? Like, why are you not automatically always happy by default? So this is literally with everything. If you're playing video games, and that's you say that's what makes you happy and makes you be happy. Fun fact, Richard Hart was actually addicted to video games. But video games, again, is an escape from reality, So if you're only being happy, and it's depending on something, it's never true happiness, because whatever it is that you're dependent on is not permanent. And when something's not permanent, things change. And when things change, you get disappointed. And when you get disappointed, you feel unhappy. And that cycle never ends until you accept that your default should be happiness, not unhappiness. So you can even ask yourself, what's the longest amount of time straight, continuously, that you've ever felt happy for? Most people don't even recall being happy for an entire 24 hours straight before. And yet we never question this. It's like we're taught at a young age that this is normal, this is just how life is. It's life isn't fair, blah 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 blah. And I'm not saying it is fair, but as a kid, when you have that paradigm, you get stuck with it. And let's say it could, for instance, if a first grader, he's told that he's stupid by his classmates, might look like, oh, whatever, okay, they're just kids. But when that kid goes home, let's say, he forgot to do one of his chores, or, something small, something silly, and his, mom gets angry at him, he's gonna think, oh, what if Johnny was right? It is, I might just be stupid. I mean, look, I forgot to do this, maybe it's because I'm stupid. And ever since first grade until, however old that person becomes, they're reconditioning that narrative. They're reinforcing that narrative. So it's hard for people to let go, and accept that their default is happiness, because what you're basically telling them to do is accept that their whole life is a lie, Ever since whatever assumption that they're making that's making them unhappy, whenever their mind conditioned them to believe it, ever since that point on, you're basically telling them everything is a lie, like you've been living in a completely false paradigm. And understandably, that's hard for some people to accept, but the truth hurts, and when people can't get out of that paradigm, they're never going to grow. Just like LeBron, Ohio, Cleveland, beautiful, the prices for houses and all that, it's beautiful. But LeBron had to leave. He had to leave that Cleveland paradigm, that Ohio paradigm, and go to South Beach in order to grow, So the reason people stuck in this paradigm never get success is because the paradigm is too small for them to progress and achieve success. In order for them to progress and achieve success, they have to leave that paradigm and build a bigger one, build a new one, So as long as you never get to the root cause, which is, why are you assuming that you're unhappy to begin with? What's that thing that, you might even have to look back into your childhood and see, like exactly when you started, reinforcing, whatever false belief that you have. So, and there's a lot of like traps when it comes to this, because even if you're focused on, like self-development, and you're always like, oh, I gotta read this book and watch this video and hear what he said and learn this skill and blah blah. But what you're basically telling yourself is, if I'm not doing self-development, if I'm not reading this book, if I'm not learning about self-development, I'm not good enough. So what are you telling yourself? You're reinforcing that by default you're unhappy and not good enough. So no matter how much self-development you learn and do, and no matter how much knowledge you attain about it and skills you attain for it, you're never, ever, 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 ever gonna reach where you want to reach in life if you're stuck in that paradigm that by default you're not good enough and that you need this in order to be good enough. Like, that's a trap even with hustling, people that say, oh, I'm going to be working 24/7, keep working, never stop. With them, how about when they're not working? They're not happy. But the thing is, we get stuck in that paradigm, so they keep working, hustling, they burn themselves out, and now what? A lot of times they're even worse off than when they started. So there's still a lot, that I want to go over when it comes to happiness. But I want you guys to understand, if you're in this paradigm that by default you're unhappy, no matter what you do in life, no matter how much money, no matter no matter how good your job is, no matter how much hex and pulse you have, you're never going to reach the success that you want. Ever. Because you're just going to keep chasing happiness and self-sabotaging yourself, thinking that you're getting closer to happiness, when you just have to realize you're coming at it from a whole, incorrect place. Happiness is already inside all of us. You can't attain something that you already have. We're naturally born by default happy. And that's why we chase happiness so much, because by default we're supposed to be happy. But when you're in this paradigm and you're stuck in it, you'll never achieve it.